Okay, so the last thing here, of course, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we're gonna see DLC characters, of course. We're getting at least one at E3. I think there's a good chance you might see both of them. I think there's a really good chance you might see both characters, either one at the start and one at the end, or two characters in a back-to-back trailer, similar to what happened with Simon Richter. But obviously not going to be the same franchise. It's going to be two separate franchises, but that would mean that you have the one first party and one third party, which is basically what I expect anyway. Because here's the problem: we started this path with Min Min. Pyre and Myth are the last characters who we got, so that's two first parties right there. I think what happened here is that they really wanted to do Steven, Alex, and also Sephiroth, and then they decide, why don't we just do a full pass? And at that point, they're like, okay, if we're gonna do a full pass, we need to fill in the rest of the characters. So they picked in the easiest characters they could find, which is mostly first party characters. And the thing is, you also have to think about the hype levels too, because the characters who happened earlier on are intended to be the characters that still a pass. Like, look at Terry, Bogard, and Byleth. They aren't anywhere near comparable to Hero and Banjo and Kazooie, and Joker as well, who was a pretty big surprise, and also Persona 3 is really popular. These three characters sold the pass. Terry and Byleth are there to fill out the rest. Like, it's not that they're bad characters, it's just that they don't have the appeal to sell the pass on. By this point in time, most people are going to buy the Fires Pass have already bought it. The final two characters are not going to be bigger than Steven, Alex, or Sephiroth. If we were getting two more third parties, we've gotten one right here, and Pyre Myth would be at the end. That's just how it's going to work, because Pyre Myth are not hype as adding a new third party character in here. So either we're looking at two third parties who are less big than Pyre Myth, or one third party that's smaller than Steven, Alex, and Sephiroth, but still maybe a little bit bigger than Pyre Myth and the final character, or they're so minor that they thought that Pyramith would still pass better than these two characters would. And I just don't see it happening with third party characters. You need someone who's more hype and a bigger deal to sell the pass with, and I just don't see it happening. So we are at least getting one more first party character. I am absolutely certain of that. The final character probably, but could be this one too. It could be the second last character too, but the final character at the very least is going to be a first party. If not, it could be both or this one, and for whatever reason they decided to switch the third party with the final one. But if that either way, if the final character is the third party, they're probably revealing both at E3. If the first one's the third party, then they could split them up. But I'm personally predicting that we're gonna see both at E3 just to get them out of the way and end it. And the first one, I have a few options for who I think it's gonna be, and it's important to, I know that a lot of people have certain expectations what they think regarding these characters, and here's what I want to take into consideration. We don't really know what they would think about this kind of thing. People are keep going based on trends and everything. They keep on thinking, oh, this character can't happen because this never happened before. But look at what happened with Min Min. Everyone was saying from before this, we're not gonna get any Spirit Potions as DLC. Even before until Arms revealed, everyone was certain we were never gonna get a Spirit Potion as DLC because they were already planning out in advance. Well, we got Min Min. And people ruled out Steve and Alex because Steve and Alex, because we already got Banjo and Kazooie, and that was the case. Well, we also have Sephiroth, who is from an existing third-party IP. We also had Rex and Paramithra. Rex was kind of ruled out because he had a costume, which he didn't end up happening. But according to Sakurai, the costume is why it didn't happen. He didn't happen because Sakurai couldn't find a way to make Rex work with Pyra and Mithra. So he said instead of Zelda and Paramithra swapping like Zelda, and now Paramithra are basically kind of like a new version of Zelda in that way. So they actually swap between one another, and whereas Zelda and Sheik don't anymore. So Paramithra are the new version of Zelda and Sheik, which is a really cool mechanic they bring back. But this also, it kind of, people keep being their expectations too tightly wound up based on this. Here, I think the other problem too is people keep saying that due to third-party characters going on here, due to first-party characters, we've only got characters on Switch, which is true. But this pass, the first party is basically filling in the remaining slots that they couldn't fill with third-party characters. Okay, so when you pick those characters, you don't have a lot of options for modern characters, but the ones they do, you want to represent recent games as much as possible. And for the main ones, and then you need to find out someone else who can fit well that works in that slot. So who could it be? Well, more than likely, if you can't find anyone else who's a modern character that fits well, you have to pick an older character who's still a pretty popular suggestion. Other than that, you have to go with someone obscure, and this just doesn't work very well. Or you have to do something else. Like, I don't think we're gonna get. Well, I did say Spirit promotions. Odds are, when they plan the second pass, they decide who's gonna be in, and anyone who got a Spirit as DLC is probably not gonna be here. So we're not gonna see Ring Fit Adventure. We're not gonna see Astral Chain because we're getting a Spirit board as is. Why would they have put those out as DLC if they're gonna get their own Spirit board later? It doesn't make sense. So that rules out basically anyone left who's could possibly have debut on Switch. Okay, so with that in mind, I have about 4 options or so here, and I don't think there's a whole lot of options for third parties right now, because a lot of them have been ruled out. A lot of them just they're too big to have not been revealed earlier or before Pyre and Myth. If we could get a Crash, they would put him before Pyre and Mithra, because he's just too big to be put this far. Like, even if it is a time to E3. So with that in mind, I think that one of the 2 characters will be Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia. We still have not seen Lloyd's costume come back yet. Bandai Namco is long overdue for a second character. I've also actually heard that there's a couple of factors too. I've actually heard that Lloyd was very likely to have been chosen early on. And there's another leak that happened. It's known as the Tales Tune leak, I believe is what it was called, because that leak was pre-release. A bunch of characters who did not make the cut were leaked, and on that leak, I believe it also included Steve and Sephiroth. The last 2 on that list were the last 3 on the list were Chun-Li, Lloyd Irving, and Yuri Lowell. So Chun-Li was specifically stated that she was considered for base, but was later replaced by Ken. So Chun-Li is basically out at this point in time. Yuri was always kind of an oddball because he's more popular with the Tales fandom in general, but Tales of Symphonia is the best-selling game in the series. On top of that, Sakurai himself said, who else would it be other than Lloyd, when he added a costume for Tales. So that's why Lloyd got a costume, and why Lloyd is easily the most likely character from Tales to be added in this game. I think that it was actually between Lloyd and Heihachi, really, but Sakurai ruled out Heihachi because he couldn't figure out how to make Heihachi work in Smash. Because of that, they had to deal with Tales, and so they briefly considered Yuri Lowell as well, but they opted for Lloyd instead. He makes more sense that way. If we don't get Lloyd, I think we're getting two first-party characters. That's my opinion. I don't think we're getting any really small first-party characters during this section. I think that the reason why Lloyd works because as a filler character, Lloyd is a third party who's very easy to add because Namco is developing the game, so it's a lot easier to secure him as a character. Now, that leaves about 3 other options I have. The one's not really that much an option. I just keep hearing this from my friend all the time. I'll still have one out of the way. One of them is inside. I think it's actually. I'll say 4 options, but I don't really believe 2 of them are that possible. Okay, so there's likely to be a new Fire Emblem remake that's based on Fire Emblem Eleve. It's likely to be based on Eleve, and Lyn plays a major role there. Lyn's still a pretty popular character. She's one of the most popular Fire Emblem characters, period. She is a assist trophy, yes. I don't think that really matters, but I don't think Lyn would be picked. I just don't see that happening. I'll leave her as an option, but I do not think Lyn would have been picked at this point in time. I think there's too much Fire Emblem as is, and Lyn wasn't even all that treated that well in Smash either, because she was kind of an afterthought mostly with her assist trophy reveal. The same as Waluigi, he was kind of casually thrown out there and wasn't really focused on all that much at all. But I will also add Waluigi as an option. He is still a pretty popular character. He's been shifted a number of times, but I still think Sakurai cares about Waluigi that much. And another factor is that Sakurai likes to introduce new game mechanics of characters too, and introduce new franchises. But the biggest problem with Waluigi is not that. The biggest problem with Waluigi is he can't bring a stage, and he can't bring like you have to restructure it to give Waluigi any content with the pack. That's the big problem with Waluigi. You can't do anything with him. There's no what you could give him. Waluigi Stadium. They don't represent the character. They represent the game they come from, and Waluigi doesn't do anything to that helps him with that. What's he gonna bring for a Spirit event? There, I could have seen Waluigi as an add bonus character, but not in a pack that includes a stage, music, and a DLC Spirit board. So I don't think Waluigi is present here either. I do have him as an option, but I don't think he's present here. At least Lyn can bring a stage based on Alib, and there's not a whole lot of songs from the Alib games. So she does have that option. She's actually, in that case, she's a much better option than Waluigi is. My runner-up here is Dixie Kong, who I do think is very likely. If we get two first-party characters, I think she's one of the two. We're mostly getting a new DK game. They can add a lot of music from DKC 3 and Tropical Freeze. Those two games are really lacking music right now, so there's a prime position for that as well. One of the big things that we've seen here too, of course, is franchises are lacking music. That happened with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 only had 3 music tracks. ARMS had none, and Final Fantasy only kept its 2 existing ones. All of them got added as DLC, which expanded them greatly. So that's what we see in this pack so far. Of course, Minecraft had nothing, but that's expected. The other 3, though, they were expanding on existing lack of content. It was really weird that ARMS had no music in the base game, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 only had 3 tracks that were just rips. Dixie has a similar problem with DKC 3 and also Tropical Freeze only having 2 tracks. DKC 3 doesn't have any tracks at all. In terms of stage, I think that she would actually represent Tropical Freeze more than 3. So Tropical Freeze would probably be the stage they based on. Or maybe they create a stage based on the new DK game. But I don't think that that's as likely. So Dixie is my runner-up option. And the final option. This is one I really want the most. I really don't want to say this because I don't want to logic myself into thinking that he's going to happen. But I'm going to have to bring up Golden Sun again because, yes, I'm leaning on Isaac being actually a very likely option because he is a very popular character in the Smash ballot, which is the same thing happened with Banjo and Kazooie. The game isn't relevant, of course not, but he's still a very popular character. He's had a lot of requests. He's very unique, and on top of that, what else happened with Golden Sun? They only kept the 2 existing music tracks. They even add Isaac's battle theme at all to the base game. So Golden Sun is another example of a game in base that's missing a lot of stuff. They did add the assist trophy, and and they also gave Isaac a very prominent role in the November 1st trailer, which means that they recognize his popularity. Lyn and Waluigi were afterthoughts. So was Dixie Kong. She was barely even shown at all, but Isaac got a huge focus. You know who else got huge focuses? Springman and Rex. These 2 characters are pretty notable too because Springman was in consideration for the ARMS character. People keep on denying this, but Sakurai asked Yabuki, isn't Springman the protagonist? His thought was on Springman first. Mr. Yabuki said, I want Min Min. Sakurai said he personally wanted Ninjara, but that's not the same thing. He asked Mr. Yabuki, and Mr. Yabuki said Min Min. But Sakurai's first thought was Springman, because he's the protagonist. On top of that, Rex also almost happened. The reason why Rex did not happen is because he couldn't figure out a way to make Rex work with Pyra and Mithra, because their models are too complex. So instead, he just Cell and Pyra and Mithra himself. As a result, you can look at this and think, okay, these characters, Sakurai may not have actually added Springman, he may not have added Rex, but they were definitely big considerations here. And I still think that Isaac is a strong contender. So my personal prediction is that the final 2 characters are going to be Lloyd Irving and Isaac from Golden Sun. But I want to make note that this may not be the case. It's very entirely possible that I am wrong here, and there's a lot of other options. We could get Dixie Kong instead as the first party character. We could get we could also get Lynn. We could get some. We could also get Waluigi. Those are the options I think of. I don't think I don't think there's any other options there for first party. And for third party, I think most options are out. Personally, I think it should just be Lloyd. I think I think if you get any third party, it's be Lloyd. Otherwise, it's gonna be two first parties. That's my personal opinion. There's also this meme going around that the final two characters are always disappointing. That's not actually true. The final characters in Smash simply are not. It's not true that the final characters are always disappointing. The final characters in Smash are not always disappointing. They're just not the biggest reveals. So it depends on the game, but sometimes in Smash they may mix up the final couple characters. Like instead of Corrin being the last character revealed, it was actually Bayonetta. But Corrin was actually the final planned character. They just announced Corrin first. I do wish they would have got more Echo Fires. I think it's possibly could see more as DLC, but I don't know. Like I've been considering one possibly is that maybe get post pass Echo Fires. Maybe one DLC character has an Echo Fire attached to them, like with Pirate Myth, there are technically two characters in one. But more like it's not gonna be the case. Still though, it'd be neat to see more, but I kind of don't think we're gonna see any, but it's possible. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's my current predictions. So I know that this is gonna be controversial because the my picks are not the ones that people want to see. A lot of people are adamant that Lloyd just become back as a costume and that Assist Stories cannot be promoted as DLC. But I honestly I stand by my predictions, and I also stand by the fact that obviously I'm just predicting based on my own feelings and everything, and I could be totally off. We could get some huge character we aren't expecting. I don't expect some huge character. I think we've already got them. The huge characters we're gonna get are Sephiroth and Steve. We're not getting any more. At most, we get someone like Lloyd, who's more low key. He's still decently big on his own, but he's not huge like these characters were. That would be absolutely terrible. I don't even know why people bring that up. If we're gonna get a Resident Evil character, it's gotta be Chris Redfield or it's gotta be Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. No exceptions. Those are the two we would get. Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. You're not gonna see Lady Dimitrescu in Smash. That was my predictions for the remainder of E3 as well as Smash characters. I do think we're gonna get the two reveals at E3, but we could also get something like the first character gets announced, now it's a Smash presentation, the final character gets announced there, or they just announced a Smash presentation coming later that announces both characters. Those are also options, but I'm feeling both characters revealed at E3 in my opinion. Leon would be a fine choice, but I think it has to be one of the characters in the original game. That's why I'm saying either Jill or Chris. Leon is okay, I think, but I think it has to be one of the original two, which is I think it has to be one of the original ones, which is Chris or Jill, and both of them are more recurring than Leon is. But Leon is definitely a pretty popular addition. People love Resident Evil 4, except for Ashley. So Leon would be okay, but I just think it has to be one of the originals. So that would be Jill or Chris Redfield. And the other problem is all four of them are all four of them. I think it's Chris, Jill, Claire, and Leon. They're all spirits already in Smash, and they're added just before they're added after they finally has a pass. So I'm sorry, we're not gonna get a Resident Evil character as DLC. I think we're getting a Capcom character as DLC. Let's throw in a few possible third-party options that people keep talking about, but I don't think we're getting one huge. I don't think we're getting a Crash. I don't think we're getting a Rayman. I don't think we're getting a Master Chief. These characters are all too big to be happening this late in the pass. If we see someone, maybe someone more low-key like Adol maybe, but that's who's kind of small. I think even if we get, I'm not scared. Like if I'm wrong, if I'm right, I'm really happy. If I'm wrong, whatever. I'm kind of over Smash right now. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Why do people always say this? The last character does not have to be a good one. People get their expectations way too up. Just wait for the character. You've already got the biggest characters you're gonna get. In my personal opinion, Crash is the one remaining third-party character who should be in Smash. That's my opinion. But he's not. I don't even think. I personally don't think Nintendo cared or even thinking about him, to be honest. I think Nintendo were thinking about adding Tracer. There was a leak a while back that was implying that Tracer was originally planned but got canned. I think that they were thinking about Tracer because Overwatch is huge in Japan. Crash Bandicoot was at one time, but it's not anymore. So that's why I think that Crash is not really a big option right now. And if he was happening, he'd already been announced by now. They won't. We're not getting any Sony characters at all. Sony is not an option at all. I think here's another problem I've been thinking about too. So when Sakurai has to say if a character can work or not. So think about this for a second. Why have we gotten a lot of characters like puzzle game characters, for example? Like I've been personally thinking that it would be really cool to see Professor Layton, and Professor Layton is surprisingly big. Level 5 is a big company too that's not in Smash. And here's the problem. How you make Professor Layton work as a compelling character? Basically in the what happened in the past that Sakurai come up with something to make them work. And but since then, more recently, he's been trying to make the character based on the original game. Yes, that's the point people keep forgetting about. Nintendo focuses on stuff that's big in Japan first. If it's not big in Japan, they're not going to even think about it. And that's why Banjo actually happened. Banjo happened because of the ballot. Banjo happened because he was really huge at Smash Ballot, and even Japan he was pretty big on it too. Then there's Minecraft. Minecraft's huge worldwide. What other Western stuff have we gotten? We've gotten Assassin's Creed, but the Assassin's Creed character we got was Altair. Altair, as far as I heard, is the most popular Assassin's Creed character in Japan. Otherwise, though, it's actually when you think of Assassin's Creed characters, you think of Ezio. Ezio's the character that most Western fans think of, but they got Altair instead. Then you've also got Rabbids. That's pretty big. That's pretty popular because it's a casual puzzle game. It's a casual game that's big. That's pretty big in Japan. We got Sans. That Undertale is another big that thing that got really popular in Japan too. And last I heard, I think Toy Fox was even living in Japan for a while. Then you've also got Cuphead. That's also been big in Japan too. Everything that we've seen that's Western is also big in Japan. So that's why I basically just throw out most shooters because they're not popular in Japan. I don't think Nintendo even considered Master Chief. Rayman, I think that Ubisoft kept pushing hard and pushing hard, and that's why they eventually said, "Oh, let's add the costume, we'll add the trophy and the spirits." But I don't think that Rayman is big enough in Japan for them to even think about him otherwise. Rayman is just he's not big enough for Nintendo to think of him as a viable option, or Sakurai for that matter. So that's why I don't think Rayman is happening. We're not getting a secret fire pass. We're not getting a secret fire pass. At best, I could see us getting 3 bonus characters that are just basically thrown out that are very easy to secure. Like, say Shadow, Dixie Kong, and Waluigi. At best, I could see a few extra bonus characters that are just one-offs, and they're sold separately. And they don't come with a stage, and they come with maybe 1 or 2 music tracks, and that's it. And they don't come with their own DLC spirit boards either. These last 2 characters are going to represent new franchises more than likely. or it's a franchise that can add more content to it, like Dixie Kong can. It's not gonna be a Waluigi because he can't do enough there. So yeah, if these basically have to be new franchises or a franchise that's missing content somewhere. Mario's not missing content anywhere. Waluigi can't bring that with him, so we can't get Waluigi here. If he's gonna happen, he has to be as a bonus fighter after the pass. But we're not getting a third pass. I'm adamant about that one. Ryu Hayabusa has been a big talking point, but he's been basically debunked multiple times by the devs. Doom Guy has been debunked multiple times by the devs, but even then, once again, Doom is not big in Japan. Neither is Halo. These things don't have a presence in Japan at all, so they're not really big considerations. Sephiroth is the reason why I don't think we're getting a Crash. Because why do you do a repeat series like that? You could have added a new franchise entirely, but instead you basically added Sephiroth to try and finish Final Fantasy VII, basically. So, I think as soon as Sephiroth happened, I'm like, we're not getting Crash at all. And as far as I'm concerned, if we get a second Sonic character, it's either Shadow or Tails. We won't get Eggman. People only start thinking about Eggman because of Sephiroth. But in terms of Final Fantasy VII, who are you going to add next after Cloud? It's Sephiroth. You're not going to add Tifa, or you're not going to add anyone else. The dynamic between Final Fantasy VII is the fight between Sephiroth and Cloud. That's what everybody remembers. If you're going to add a second Sonic character, it's not Eggman, it's Tails. Or it's Shadow, because Shadow is an easy echo. And frankly, I don't think we're getting a second Sonic character. I just don't. Like, Final Fantasy VII made sense because it was filling out what was missing there. Sonic doesn't have that. We've already got 2 stages of Sonic, and we got about 20. We got about 20 music tracks. It's not lacking for content. People want remixes, but I don't think that was Nintendo the problem. I think that was Sega who wouldn't let them make remixes. There also has been a new game since Forces, and Forces was that's even got music in the game. There's no reason to even consider adding a new Sonic character, but Sephiroth was also representing Final Fantasy VII Remake too. So there's more than one reason to add Sephiroth right now, and there's not very much reasons to add a new Sonic character. So I only see a Sonic character coming along if it's Shadow, and if it's an extra bonus after the pass. That's my personal opinion. I don't think we're getting. In fact, I think that Sephiroth's the last second character from a third party franchise we're gonna get in this pass. I don't think we're getting another one at this point. At most maybe get a Shadow after the pass if we get any bonuses, but I don't think we're gonna get any bonuses either personally.